Hello, I'm Evan from Reddit Stories, and today's topic is Nurses of Reddit. What's the most entertaining thing someone has said coming off of anesthesia? Please consider subscribing if you like the video. A 15-year was waking up and talking more, and trying to get out of bed before he was ready. Bud, where are you going? I've got to go to my locker, buddy. You're in the hospital. You can't go to your locker right now. So where are you trying to go? Serious expression. The F up you're. A man asked me if his body parts still belong to him, and I still think about it, LMAO. When they took out my wisdom teeth and my other fricked up tooth, they didn't give them back to me, so I guess they aren't mine anymore. I work in the OR. Funniest was a guy quickly sat straight up after extubation. We're all standing around him making sure he doesn't try to jump off the table. He looks at me and then slowly gives me double finger guns. Turns his head to another staff member and slowly gives them finger guns. Didn't say a word, just finger guns. A lot of people wake up really crazy, they start swinging or just get really restless on a narrow or bed. It's nice when people wake up sleepy and I'll just bundle them up with blankies and roll out. So, waking up aggressively is somewhat common then. My husband woke up during a gallbladder surgery and instantly grabbed one of the surgeons by the throat. Apparently the anesthesiologist had to give him enough to drop him like an elephant. There was an awkward follow-up appointment. We had to slide board a patient from the stretcher to his bed after an endoscopy. You put a board between bed and stretcher and then grab patient and slide them over to bed with sheet underneath them. My patient screamed WEEEE and then proceeded to tell us that these are the best drugs ever and that it felt like the 60s again. ER tech here. We often do conscious sedations with ketamine to realign broken bones. I had a 10-year-old girl who snapped her arm on the trampoline. When she was coming out of the ketamine slumber, she asked why she saw God. Little freaky. She also snapped down 4 PB&J sandwiches after, and I was impressed. The best has to be the sledding accident kid who snapped his tibia. When he was coming out of the ketamine sleep, he kept begging us not to tell his mum he smoked weed for the first time the day before. His mum was in the room while this was taking place. What did the mum do? Railed a fatty line of ketamine. When I got my wisdom teeth out, the nurse was trying to wake me up and said, "Okay, it's time to open your eyes. Can you open your eyes for me?" I said, "Say please." She said please very nicely, and I opened my mouth as wide as I could. This reads like a John Mulaney joke and I love it. And then the nurse told him to say I'm a little fat girl. Woke up thinking I'd had sex with my doctor, and apologized to him for how bad it was. A friend of mine woke up after surgery and stated I want to eat a Christmas tree. When I was in high school I was just getting put under and feeling loopy for a wisdom teeth operation, and the nurse was making small talk with me and told me she graduated from the same high school I went to and was on the dance team, and I told her, "No you weren't, you have to be pretty to be on the dance team," right before blacking out. I think about this sometimes before I go to sleep at night. Nurse, I am so sorry. Do you like that when you were just doing your job? I've been on this thread for like 15 minutes and this is the most savage comment I've seen. I feel like I'm going to hell for laughing. Guy wakes up in the recovery room after left knee replacement surgery and starts talking with his wife. "Well, at least I still have 2 good knees." "Oh honey," she replied, "you just had knee surg." He interrupts in a loud voice, "My right knee and my weenie." I had a male patient who as he woke up mumbled, "I'm not pregnant. I hope I say some stupid when I go under for wisdom teeth removal, LOL. Not a nurse, but I had dental surgery at a hospital in Bangkok a few years ago. I had pretty much come out of anesthesia and was just waiting for the doctor and discharge stuff. There was this giant Aussie guy also in recovery and he kept trying to sneak away. Like he'd look around, grab his IV pole, and tiptoe toward the exit. The nurses were just kind of herding him around the room back to his bed. Then he'd do the same thing again. The nurse with me asked if I wanted the curtains closed and I was like, hell no. I just had major oral surgery and this is funny. So, she and I sat there for nearly 20 minutes watching his shenanigans. Nurses have patience like saints, I swear. My brother got his wisdom teeth out not too long ago. When he woke up, he started laughing a lot, like he wasn't laughing super hard, but he was laughing for super long and it almost sounded monotone. After a couple minutes of just flatline laughter, he stopped and mumbled chicken like it's what he was laughing at. Don't know why, but it stopped him from laughing for a bit. Did a short stint in recovery as part of my graduate program. I got proposed to a couple of times. Same guy would walk past me in the corridor a day later and not recognize me. How rude. Proposes and then ignores you just because he didn't like your reply. I once told the nurses to stop. I wasn't asleep yet. I wasn't ready. They laughed and said they were done. Another time I came out saying sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy has nuts, mounds don't. No clue why I was singing this, but the nurses thought I was hilarious and let family know this happened. Not anesthesia, but post-op in IQ. PT had brain surgery for a neuroma. He had a brain drain in, but otherwise was fine. Me, hi sir, I have your dinner, do you need help? PT, no, I can't do it. What is it? Me, white fish. PT, me, it's brain food. PT, if that's the case I need a whale. I laughed for 2 hours after that. It wasn't something he said, but I had a patient in his 50s attempt to motorboat his wife when she came to pick him up. She was mortified, and I managed to keep a straight face while giving her all his post-op instructions. Also not a nurse, but I had ankle surgery last year. They gave me animal crackers after, and I remember being really upset, but I didn't realize until the last cracker that I forgot to look at the animals and appreciate each one. One does not simply eat animal crackers without acknowledging which animal they're about to eat. But in your case I think you had a good excuse. Not a nurse. My wife woke up from a surgery and started pointing into the middle of the room and in a soft voice said, frick you and you. What's that smell? She then looked over at me and says, when did you get here? Yahweh at LOL. She doesn't cuss much, so I got a good laugh out of it. I came out of it in the middle of a conversation with Gandalf. I was trying to sell him Tupperware. Kinda long, sorry, I worked in an ER and we had a patient, guy about 18-20 years old, who had a spontaneous pneumothorax, collapsed lung. Not quite as bad as it sounds. He basically had a small area of air between his lung and chest wall. We had to put in a small chest tube to remove the air. We did a moderate sedation, basically kinda knock him out, but not put him completely under. One of the meds used was Versed, which has an amnesic effect, so they don't remember anything. Procedure is done and I'm monitoring him when he starts coming around. He looks at me and asks, so, when are we going to do this thing? I said, we're already done. Look at your chest. Had a drain, dressing in place. He looks down, then looks at me and says, dude, how'd you do that? Maybe not the best story here, but it happened 20+ years ago and it still makes me laugh. Patient here with a great story nonetheless. When I got my wisdom teeth removed, I apparently had a religious experience. I'm an Gnostic. I told my mom, who was with me, that I saw people walking on water. Next, I kept telling her that I saw Jesus. Apparently, when the female nurse came back into the room, I did the Catholic sign of the cross and whispered to my mom, that's him, that's Jesus. The nurse lost her it. That's funny as hell. D. Not a nurse, but my twin sister started speaking fluent Spanish to my mom after she woke up from getting her wisdom teeth removed. We're half Puerto Rican, on our mom's side, so we've grown up hearing Spanish, but neither of us had ever carried a fluent conversation with her in it. But apparently my doped up sister could. Not gonna lie, I took Spanish in high school and when I'm drunk I can carry on full conversations. Sober, not so much. My German is so much better drunk. I think it's cause you don't overthink as much. Me, coming out of it at the dentist's office. Me, you have to save them. Dentist, save who? Me. The owls. Dentist, what owls? Me, the owls trapped inside the gas machine. They were hooting. I could hear them. You have to save them. I was coming out of anesthesia and the nurses in the recovery room were all poking fun at each other about which Hogwarts house they would be in. Me, according to my ex-wife, I'm a house elf. Ex-wife, obviously, she gave you a sock at some point. Not a nurse, but was in charge of my sister after she got her wisdom teeth out. Got her in the car and she was bawling. Wouldn't stop crying and trying to put her fingers in her mouth. Mind you, she was 20 at the time. I got her back to my apartment, and she's having a hard time staying upright, so I'm helping support her as we walk up to the door. She's still crying, but is now trying to do a heel click. We almost fall over. My neighbor sees us and runs over to help open my door. We get her inside. She then proceeds to spend another hour crying about how she wants to write a Harry Potter / Pride and Prejudice crossover ballet, in which she would play Dumbledore, Lizzie Bennet, and Mr. Darcy herself. I then asked her who I would play. She said Hedwig and Mr. Collins. That's when it stopped being entertaining. At the dentist I woke up like a shot from anesthesia, got up, and ran through the office, dental assistants chasing me. I ran to the washroom still drugged up, looked into the mirror and while pawing my numb face said I need to make sure I don't look like Joan Rivers. Not a nurse, but when I got all 4 of my wisdom teeth out at once, I woke up and immediately asked, "Can I eat KFC now?" And they all got a laugh out of that. That was the only thing I cared about. Probably not as entertaining as I hoped, but I got a laugh out of them, so yay. Middle-aged woman with obvious surgical enhancements coming off of anesthesia from a diagnostic procedure. I was listening to her lungs with my stethoscope and told her, "All right, nice big breaths." She said, "Thanks, I just got them done." It was so hard to compose myself, and now I say deep breaths. Not a nurse, but I underwent a procedure and had to be put under anesthesia. According to my dad, who was in the room, the doctor asked me how I was feeling and I said to him, "I feel like it. Can I go back to hell?" Not really funny, I guess, but it was funny at the time. Don't forget to subscribe, or I'll come and steal your pet. Bye.